medicinal mushrooms are tree mushrooms with a few exceptions. Cordyceps is not a tree mushroom. It's actually an insect-eating mushroom. Agaricus blazei, which we looked at just a moment ago, is actually a mushroom that comes out of the ground. So there are some exceptions, but generally, as a general rule, the tree mushrooms are the medicinal mushrooms, which to me is interesting because a tree is doing something really trippy, which is it's levitating upwards, it's falling upwards. It's violating every law we've been taught, which is, in order to go up, you have to fight gravity, and you have friction because you're fighting gravity, but a tree doesn't have friction because it never heats up. In fact, if you touch a tree, it's cold. How could it be cold? How could it be cool under a tree? How can sap move up and down that tree without creating frictional heat? If friction is the only rule, then we're obviously in a totally wrong physics model, right? The whole thing of a tree completely violates everything in physics, that a tree could even exist, that you could even exist. I got to put that out there because we got to start really questioning this whole science model because it's delivered to us what? Death, pain, fire, destruction, wars, greed, famine, hate, pollution, oceans filled with plastics. That's what it's delivered to us. So we have to go, wait, maybe the whole structure of this model of thinking is wrong. Perhaps. Right? So the tree, now if the earth was left to go into its natural ecosystem development and we weren't interfering with it, the earth would develop forests. And apparently the earth had huge forests on it with 500-foot tall trees for most of its history. In the recent history, until we came along, kind of mowed everything down. Apparently underneath the Great Lakes, at the bottom of the Great Lakes, are 500-foot tall trees from an ancient ecosystem that are still there, and they're preserved completely by the water and the pressure. So they're just basically sitting under there. So that means to me that the earth is actually drawing out of itself levitational materials. The mushroom then goes after that levitational material to concentrate it into its fruiting bodies, the part that comes out. That's why it has beta-glucans. That's why it has polysaccharide K. That's why it has maitake D fraction and all the other polysaccharides that have levitational substances in it, because the tree had it. And then eventually it tries to get it into a spore, which then, if you ever see this, and I saw this and it blew my mind. I actually witnessed it. I always thought that medicinal mushrooms, tree mushrooms, are always releasing spores all the time. But no, they don't. Actually, these tree mushrooms release spores on maybe one day a year in a highly energetic event. And one day I was in the forest and I saw it and I was like, whoa. What happened was we were looking at a giant Ganoderma apollinatum, which is the giant ones. You guys ever seen the giant shelf mushrooms? If you live in the northern regions of America or Canada, you know what those are. Those big ones that are in the forest. Who's seen those? They're called artist conchs because the bottom of them are white, and artists used to use those as canvases. Anyway, one day I was in the forest at a big one, and we were just hanging out, and all of a sudden it went psh, and it was like blowing out smoke. We were just like, what the hell is that? And what actually happened, this is what I observed. Clouds parted, sun hit it, that happened. Cloud went back in front of the sun. It parted again, sun hit it, it happened again. This is September 15th, maybe 3 years ago, 2008. And then it did it 3 times. We observed it 3 times. I was really like, what? I never knew anything like that was going on in the forest ever. I mean, look, it was like, big puff of smoke comes out. Now, it wasn't going down. The smoke didn't go down. You follow me here? The spores go up. They're levitational. That's the whole idea of the mushroom. It's trying to get spores to go up. Now again, like I told you, I put the whole thing in there about the levitational quality of spores, that spores can survive the highest altitudes of the Earth's atmosphere, and they can survive the vacuum of space, and that it's been well documented over many years that there are mushroom spores coming in and out of the atmosphere of this Earth, and it's been going on all along. So mushrooms from outer space, something to it. The whole thing makes sense. Think about it. What are these mushrooms doing? They're recycling wood. What is wood? A water levitational device. What are they taking out of the ecosystem? They're taking out that levitational material to take their genetic material somewhere else. What do they do for us? Well, they are entirely in the recycling zone of the karma. That's their karma. They're in the recycler. Like if you're going to design an organism or design yourself as an organism, you don't want to have to kill to eat. You don't want to have to kill, right? You want to be in a recycling zone where you support all life and the development of life from when it was algae all the way to giant trees. You follow me on this? So what these mushrooms are really doing for us is they're allies for us in that they help to support and nourish life. That's what they do.